So you probably divide your world into opposites every day,
Oh,
right?
yeah, constantly. I mean, light and dark, east and west.
Exactly. Presence and absence. But what if I told you that is entirely an illusion? Today we are doing a deep dive into this incredibly paradigm-shifting text by Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar.
It really makes you rethink things.
It does. He outlines something he calls the Pramod Effect. And our mission today is to decode his core concept of Monocontiergy and basically figure out how letting go of these everyday opposites completely changes how we view the universe, math, and even human society.
Yeah, it is a massive shift in perspective. Dr. Pawar essentially argues that everything we perceive as a duality or, a conflict is actually just a different expression of one unified continuous energy.
Right, monoenergy.
Exactly. This eternal, self-perpetuating source he calls monoenergy.
So, okay, to wrap my head around this, I was looking at the physical examples in the text, like the swinging pendulum.
That is a great visual for this.
Right. Usually you just watch the left and right swings. And the text calls this visible moving structure the TD, or the body.
Yes, the body.
But then it argues the still center point of that swing is the PE, or the soul. So wait, the extremes are just the body, but the stillness is the soul.
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
And the PE stands for the Pramod effect itself. I mean, think about it. That still center is the actual anchor, right?
Okay, yeah.
It is the source allowing the movement to happen at all. The extremes of the pendulum swinging left and right aren't like opposites fighting each other.
They're just oscillations.
Exactly. Temporary oscillations around that one unified center. It is all one continuous mono energy.
Like the seed in the plant, right?
Right, or the hen and the egg. We label them as separate stages, but they are really just unity in motion.
Okay, so a swinging pendulum or a growing plant being just continuous oscillating energy makes intuitive sense to me. But what happens when we stop talking about physical objects and start talking about absolute voids?
Ah, the math.
Yes, the math. Because the math in this text honestly broke my brain a little bit. It presents this formula, 1 minus 1 equals 0, which equals 1.
It sounds counterintuitive at first.
Right, wait. 1 minus 1 is 0. How does an absolute void magically equal 1 again?
Well, that is where the text challenges our very definition of nothingness. In the framework of Monocontiergy, nullity, or true emptiness is an illusion.
Really?
Yeah, subtraction doesn't create a true void. It simply resolves back into the continuous flow of mono energy.
Okay, I have to push back on that a bit because, if I lose my life savings or my car gets stolen, that is not an illusion resolving back into the universe. That is a real practical loss.
Oh, absolutely. It is a fair question, but think of it mechanically, like a cup of water.
Okay, a cup of water.
If you have 1 cup of water and you dump the water out, that is 1 minus 1. You now have an empty cup, which is 0.
Right.
But that empty space inside the cup is still a physical reality. It is still part of the universe.
I see.
The void itself is a thing. That is your 1 again. You haven't destroyed the energy or the space. You have just moved the contents.
So 0 isn't an empty box. It's just a different state of energy.
Exactly. Loss and gain are just the same energy shifting out of our immediate perception.
Okay, I can kind of see that. But the text doesn't stop at math, which is wild. It scales this exact same unity up to human culture.
It really goes big picture.
It does. It claims to surpass some pretty heavy-hitting sociologists. It specifically mentions moving beyond Edward Said, who famously coined the concept of otherness to describe how cultures divide the world into us versus them.
Right, the dividing lines.
And Gayatri Spivak, who critiques social hierarchies.
Yeah.
We are just imparting what the text claims here without taking any sides, but how does a theory about physics and empty cups actually erase deep-rooted social divisions?
It does it by changing the foundational premise of human interaction. If every culture, every individual, and every idea is an expression of the exact same mono-energy, then those hierarchies said and Spivak talk about are merely perceptual errors.
Wow, perceptual errors.
Yeah. True equality isn't just a moral goal or some social construct we have to invent. According to this text, it is an energetic scientific fact.
Because, you literally cannot be other than me if we are made of the exact same continuous energy.
Precisely. Labeling someone as the other becomes philosophically impossible.
That is huge.
Imagine applying that to a geopolitical conflict. Instead of seeing two rigid, permanently opposed nations fighting over resources, you see temporary oscillations of the same human energy.
Just like the pendulum.
Exactly like the pendulum. It forces you to stop looking at the extreme, violent swings and start looking for the still center that anchors both sides.
So if you were listening to this and wondering how a weird math equation affects your Tuesday, well, that is your answer.
It changes everything.
It really does.
Yeah.
Viewing the world through the Pramod Effect gives you a totally new lens for resolving conflicts, whether that is an argument with a coworker or making sense of global tensions. You start seeing connection instead of division.
It just asks us to recognize the unity and motion everywhere around us.
It does, but it also leaves you with something wild to chew on.
Oh.
Yeah, think about this. If every physical object, every mathematical zero, and every human thought is just an oscillation of the exact same continuous monoenergy, then where do you actually end and the universe begin?
That is a great question.
If the boundary between you and the empty space in your room is just an illusion, who is actually the one listening to this deep dive right now?